This one's horrifying. This was at a daycare. These teachers, I don't know if they're called teachers or just daycare workers, but they're evil. Evil, okay? I'm not mincing words here. They're evil. Hi everyone, welcome to the Freedom Friends Show. My name is Michelle and thank you for joining us, or thank you for joining me. I don't know why I said us. It's like, no, nobody else here. Nobody but me, I guess, and whoever else is watching. Today I want to talk about homeschooling because I am a brand new homeschooler. That's right. I have a beautiful, sweet, amazing 5-year-old, and she's 5. So it was time to figure out her schooling situation and what we were going to do. Sorry, I'm trying to pull my chair in and I can't get it in. So my husband and I were kind of talking about it, and we were trying to make a decision on what would be best for her. And he is in education. He's been in education for many years. And so for him, I was doing research on homeschooling. I wasn't homeschooled. I went to a private school for half of my education and then went on to public school. And I can talk about the differences between my private school experience and my public school experience. We decided to kind of do this hybrid of homeschooling and homeschool enrichment. And because of COVID, a lot of schools started offering these homeschool enrichment programs where they partner with the parents. The more I was studying homeschooling, because there's all these different methods of homeschooling. There's hundreds to thousands of different curriculums that you can choose. Like the homeschool landscape looks super different for everybody. And the more I read on homeschooling, the more I was leaning towards unschooling. So if you've ever heard of unschooling, it's a methodology where it's a lot more child-led rather than parent or teacher-led. You don't necessarily follow any set curriculum, and you are basically helping provide resources to teach your children things based on their interests. So it's your child's based on their interests. It's kind of like the way entrepreneurs learn. You're interested in something, or not even just entrepreneurs, self-motivated adults. If you're interested in something, you look up videos, you read books on it, you talk to experts, you learn from people who already know how to do it. And so this is just having that sort of respect for a child and letting them lead the way with their education. So I'm not doing a full unschool setup, although I am fairly new to this. So as things go along, I will probably make changes and figure different things out. But for right now, we are doing this half homeschool / unschool situation and homeschool enrichment with a school. My little one has just turned 5, and so she's more in junior kindergarten right now. So it's not like there's anything that's heavy in terms of her education. And it's actually a great time to start this unschooling path to get her used to thinking, what does she want to learn? What should we look up? How should we go about it? It's a great age to introduce learning to choose for herself. And in the meantime, she is having a little bit of curriculum work, and that's teacher-led, slightly parent-led, because like I'm leading some of that. Some of it is, it's the basics, like how to read, how to write, basic math. Those are kind of things that I know that there's other unschool parents who have said that their kids just eventually learn how to read, like when they've gotten to a particular time in their life and they need to read for a particular reason, that makes sense for them. They just start to read, and they read really quickly. It's not like this slow progression of figuring out how to read. Like they can just start reading in a week. They figure out that they need to read for a particular interest that they have, and then they do it. So I do, and I've been studying this and reading up on it, and I truly do think that children can get to a point where they just learn to read on their own. I was reading somewhere that it was usually around like the age of 7 or 8 that generally tends to happen. But I think unless I'm doing like full unschool where she's, with me all the time, because I'm doing kind of like this half homeschool enrichment program, I feel like if she wants to participate in some of the things at the school on the days that she is at school, then she might need to know how to read and just do some basic math. So I'm kind of leading that, but we're still doing some unschooling things where I just let her lead. We do lots of field trips for our homeschool. I don't really like to call it homeschool. I was telling my husband, I'm not trying to recreate school like in my home. That's like, it's the furthest thing I want. I don't want school in my home. I think schooling is part of the problem that we have with children like nowadays. Not even nowadays, for a really long time. Like schooling for me was just so mediocre. I did okay in school. I didn't do terribly. I didn't do, I wasn't like a bad student or anything. I just didn't thrive in school. Like did okay, I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. It was just okay. But I feel like I could have taken those years and really learned something that I was passionate about and really like gone somewhere further with my life than what I did do. So, that was just me, and I know everybody is different, but if you look at the data and what's going on with the schools in the United States, and honestly what's going on with schools like across the world, like schooling, I don't think is the best education for children. And if there is a possibility to unschool them, to let them have some freedom and say in their education. Like I was reading this book. I think it's called Unschooled. I'll do another video about it in the future. But it gives you this whole history on school and like how the state got into it and how, school started off with like 1 hour a day and it was mostly like family led and then, school is a very, very recent type of organization. For thousands and thousands of years, children were educated by their families, their moms and their dads and their grandparents. Can you imagine being educated by the elders who love you in your family? Just terrible. So I'm doing this half homeschool enrichment hybrid. I do like to call it love and learning. So we don't call it homeschool at our house. We call it love and learning because that just sounds nicer. Who doesn't want love and learning days? Everybody wants love and learning days. So that's what ours are called. For example, tomorrow we're going to go to the zoo. And I mean, like on a side note, I really dislike the zoo because I feel like I'm just taking my child to torture chambers of little animals. It's just really sad. Most of the time those animals are very depressed. And, but I'm going to take her because there's a particular zoo that's kind of closer to our house where the animals seem a little bit happier. Their engagements might be a little bit bigger, but definitely the gorillas and the chimpanzees, they're very, very sad. They're too smart and they know they should not be in there. So, but we are going to the zoo. We pretty much do a field trip like once a week. Oh, I think I hear my child screaming for me. So I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. So, what was I talking about? Homeschool, that's right. So I just wanted there are some family members and friends, actually probably most of the people I know, who don't really understand like my reasoning for wanting to homeschool. They're just, yeah. But I decided to just look up some of the stuff that's happened just in the past like 10 days. So I found these articles like probably in about 10, 15 minutes. All of these have happened just like in the last 10 days. These are all things that have happened in schools. So I pulled up a few examples. I did some quick research just to see what's happening in the schools right now. First one, Christian school wants photos of 8-year-olds in bathtub and then fights dirty when parents object. So there was a school, let's see, Victory Christian Academy in Jacksonville, Florida, basically sent home a homework assignment instructing second graders to send a picture of you doing reading homework in the bathtub. In the bathtub. You could have just stopped at send picture of you doing reading homework. No? Can't do that? Can't just say send a picture of you doing reading homework? That's it? No, they had to add in bathtub. In bathtub. Okay. So, let's see. It said there were some parents who did not like this assignment, and parents Misty and Christopher Dunham, they told CBS 47, or Christopher told CBS 47 that he and his wife were shocked when their 8-year-old said she needed to send a picture of herself in the bathtub doing her reading homework to her second grade teacher. It's weird. Why would they be shocked? Why would they be shocked that their second grade teacher wants to see their child in the bathtub reading? I mean, obviously this is a literacy lesson. They just want her to be literate. They just want her to know how to read. Like, doesn't have to be, I don't know, in the bedroom or in the family living room, and then they want it in the bathtub. Specifically says in the bathtub. So the father or the mother, Misty, explains, I emailed the teacher to say, hey, you may want to explain that, send something out to the parents, let them know what the intentions are. This just does not sound okay. And you know what? She's right. It does not sound okay. It's not okay to ask children to take a picture of themselves in the bathtub. Even though it says the teacher responded by adding students could be in pajamas, be in your uniform, have fun with it, it still says do it in the bathtub. Why the bathtub? So with this mom, she said it still didn't sit right with her, so she reached out to school administrators who claimed that we've been sending this homework assignment for years, and you are the only one complaining about it. They've been sending out this homework assignment asking children, little children, to take pictures of themselves in the bathtub. So then they asked these parents to withdraw their child from school. The parents refused to do that. So then they withdrew the child from school. So an 8-year-old girl refused to do an assignment that involved taking a picture, reading homework in the bathtub. I mean, what a great place to do your homework, you know? Like, instead of having the dog ate my homework excuse, you can say, oh, I dropped it in the tub and you can't read anything I wrote on it because I dropped it in the tub because I was wet and it got wet in the tub. What? Why? Why would anybody ever ask for that? And then after her parents complained, Victory Christian Academy in Jacksonville, Florida expelled the child. Example number 1, why I don't want my child going to a school. This is not even a public school. This is a private school. The private schools have lost their minds as well. Lost their minds. What's another one? San Francisco School District teaches kids how to keep transgender identity a secret from parents. Great. Because the people who are financially and emotionally and every sort of responsibility for children, because they're the ones who gave birth, they're the ones who pay for the clothes, pay for the shelter, pay for the food, pay for the everything, keep them in secrecy. And let these people who are transient in our children's lives, who see our children a couple hours a day for a year, not even a year, because the school year is 9-10 months, sees them for under a year, doesn't have any responsibility for these children. Yes, let them decide and guide our children, like in the ways of their lives and the world. No. Teachers are there to teach math and science and literature, and that's it. And leave all the rest of everything else that makes big life decisions for these children, you leave that to the parents who have to pay for these children, pay for their medical bills, pay for their psychiatric bills, pay for their psychologists, pays for their food bills, pays for everything. Takes care of them every single day, every night, every day, every night, every day, every night. Yeah, teachers, get away from her. Okay. All right, let's see what this says. So this says, in his latest viral report, Christopher Rufo, I don't know who that is, but Christopher Rufo has published a guidebook released by the San Francisco Unified School District encouraging teachers to facilitate secret child transitions and to affirm students who use the gender pronoun it. The most disturbing part of the school guidelines is the fact that they give explicit advice on how to keep the identity of children secret from the parents. The district has created a system for facilitating child sexual transitions for its kindergarten to 5th grade students, telling children that they may choose a different name and set of pronouns than the ones they use at home, and that this new identity will be kept secret from their parents, Rufo reported. The district's policy is to facilitate child sexual transitions without notifying parents. Additionally, parents are not permitted to shield their children from these lessons. No. Parents can't shield their children from this. Parents do not have the right, they're taking away parents' rights, to opt out of the lessons on gender identity and sexual orientation. which are incorporated into the curriculum. Oh, here's the curriculum I was talking about. The curriculum for English, social studies, arts, and other subjects. So gender identity and sexual orientation are incorporated into the curriculum for English, social studies, arts, and other subjects. Okay. Yeah. Reason number 2, just for this week. I've got a million other reasons, but this is reason number 2, just this week, why my child will not be going to school. What's another one? Okay. ABC News. Oh, a mainstream publication. So a mother who claims teachers secretly manipulated her 11-year-old daughter into changing her gender identity and name has filed a legal case against a tiny California school district. I love how they say tiny, as if like that makes any difference at all of a manipulative school board or school district. Like, who cares that it's tiny? Why do you got to mention that it's tiny? What difference does it make that it's a tiny California school district? I don't understand that. A mother who claims teachers secretly manipulated her 11-year-old daughter into changing her gender identity and name has filed this legal case. Basically, she's claiming that this Spreckles Union School District was responsible for extreme and outrageous conduct that led her student on a path toward transitioning as a boy and drove a wedge between mother and child. See, no. Schools, teachers, people who are not responsible for these children, you do not have the right to drive a wedge between parent and child. And I know that there's an agenda here. I'm not going to talk about it. And I know it comes from higher up organizations. Let's just say, I'm not going to say it out loud right now, but most of you will know what I'm talking about, like where this whole agenda is coming from, trickle down. But reason number 3, I will not be sending my child to regular school because, hello, these are examples just in the last 10 days. Like, and these are examples that I found in like 10 minutes. So can you imagine the amount of stories that have gone unreported, that nobody's talking about or hasn't, come to any sort of reporters or publications' attention? But how many of these are going on every single day across the nation, across the world? How many? Like, I'm certain it's millions of these cases where children are being manipulated. Children are young. Their brains are not fully developed. They are innocent. They're innocent. And you have these adults who are not even responsible for them, don't pay for anything for them, who take it upon themselves to co-opt parenting from parents and assume that role without any of the responsibility or the liability. To me, that's a crime. And it's just wrong. It's just wrong. Common sense tells us all that that's wrong. You do not get that kind of authority over a child's life just because you're the teacher. Like, who are you? You're supposed to teach them a subject, help them advance their knowledge base on said curriculum or subject, and that's it. And then one more story. This one I did see everywhere. It was also in mainstream media. This one's horrifying. This was at a daycare. These teachers, I don't know if they're called teachers or just daycare workers, but they're evil. Evil, okay? I'm not mincing words here. They're evil. But I've seen the video that has like the children's faces on it, and then there's also videos that have blurred out the children's faces because they're children and probably shouldn't be publicized. But basically, these nursery workers wore like terrifying Halloween masks, like the scare. What's the name of the movie? Is it Scary Movie or something? That Scary Movie mask, the one with the screaming ghoul. That is a frightening mask. All right. So a nursery worker or several nursery workers wore terrifying Halloween masks as punishment and making these little children, and by little, I do mean like these are 2, 3, 4-year-old children. Shocking moment that kids sob in horror. This is the title. Shocking moment, kids sob in horror as cruel nursery workers wear terrifying Halloween masks as punishment. So a nursery has come under fire after footage emerged of workers using a terrifying Halloween mask to torture horrified children as a form of punishment. The video shows several staff members at Little Blessings Child Care. Oh, Little Blessings Child Care. You know, those parents think that Little Blessings is taking care of their children, nurturing them, loving them, being kind to them. Oh, no. Little Blessings Child Care scares innocent children into better behavior in an act described by parents as hideous, and it is hideous.
Are you being bad? Why are you talking about that? You better be good.
This is hideous. Like, oh, I can't even. A mass worker. If this worker was in my face, I'd be terrified. These are 3-year-olds. They are screaming, and this mass worker is leaning over, shouting in the faces of frightened children. These children are trying to run away. They're trying to run away. And she's chasing them. Many of the terrified children can be seen sobbing as the masked woman makes her way around the center, yelling and screaming at the children. In one incident, she leans over one terrified child and asks, "Are you being bad?" To which the child wails out, "No," and shakes his head. Oh, this breaks my heart. This breaks my heart. These little children will be traumatized for years. This is traumatic. They are little angels. They are innocent. They have the expectation, deservedly, that these caretakers are exactly that, caretakers, taking care of them. Oh gosh. And then this woman screams into the young tot's face and yells, "You better be good," before targeting another child. Wow. At one stage, 3 scared children even resort to hiding behind a shelving unit as the woman pretends to knock down the door. After entering the room, she then proceeds to chase the tots, who start running and wailing in terror. And then she then orders the children to clean up, even resorting to screaming before storming off to another class. She wants the children to clean up. Is that what you want, my dear Little Blessings nursery worker? Wow. The string of incidents which appeared to traumatize, oh, you think? It appeared to traumatize the majority of children? That would traumatize adults. That would traumatize me. Oh, what a freak. And I know that these women, apparently one woman didn't think this was funny at all, and she's the one who recorded it, and good for her. Good for her for recording that and putting it out in the public and sending it to the parents, because that is evil. And I read that the rest of them were fired, as they should be. This Little Blessings childcare place, like, they need to really up the ante on their hiring criteria. How do you do that? So anyway, four examples, just in the last 10 days of what's going on in schools and daycares around the country, just around the United States. Like, I'm not even going to talk about what happened in Thailand a few days ago, because I'm sure you've all heard of that, and that is horrific. This is just the last few days. I have a beautiful child. She is kind. She has such a sweet heart. She is sensitive. And I would never put her in a situation where people who they really don't care. There's so many of these teachers and daycare workers. They're in it for the paycheck. And as much as people want to say, oh, they're heroes, some of them maybe. You know what? Some of them are. Some teachers are heroes. I would say probably the majority are not. I think a lot of them are in the job for many different reasons. There's a really great schedule. You know, you get summers off. You get 3 months off or 2.5 months off. There's, I don't really know why. Hopefully, one hopes that teachers are getting into this profession because they love children. They want to educate children. They want to be around them. But I get the feeling a lot of them are not in that, especially when I see stories like this. It's story after story after story after story after story. For years, I read these stories. I'm showing you 4 stories that I've come up with in 10 minutes over the past 10 days. And I know that there's loads others. These are just the ones that, I picked from the first get-go. So should anybody ask me, why are you homeschooling? Why? That's why I'm homeschooling. Because at the end of the day, my child gets to do her work with beautiful music and cuddles and love, and she's she learns a lot faster and a lot more just in a small period of time because all of the attention is dedicated to her. If you as parents, your children are so precious. They're beautiful, amazing, precious people. View them as so. Know that they are that way, and also allow them a little bit of freedom to choose how they want to learn. If you have the ability, and I know so many people don't have the ability, and that's tough, and there's many different reasons behind that. The number one reason that I believe we don't have as many one-income households today as we did a few decades ago is because of the Federal Reserve. And that's going to be saved for a different video for a different day. But it is because of the Federal Reserve. It is because of the central banking system, not just in the United States, but across the Western world, probably all the countries that have central banks. It is because of the central banks that we now require 2-income households. And even a lot of those households can barely meet their bills. Whereas there was a time when just a 1-income household, and usually the mom would stay at home, you could take care of your family, have a roof over their head and feed them and still have savings and be able to go on vacation. And that was because the central banks hadn't yet devalued the dollar to the point where it's pretty much worthless. It's what are we at now? I think I remember seeing we basically have 3 cents left of the dollar from I think when was that year? I think when the Federal Reserve came about, 1913. So that's a different story. This video is about homeschooling. And yeah, that's why I'm going to homeschool. And also, it's really rewarding to teach my little girl. Like when I watch her learn things and she understands things, and then we discuss things in the car and we discuss things at home and we read things together, and she asks me a million questions about things. It's just wonderful. It's wonderful, and it's a beautiful experience, and she and I are so close, and we have a great relationship, and we have tight attachment, which is what you want. You want tight attachment. I will be talking about this book. I was going to bring it up in this in this video, but I didn't have the opportunity or the time. But it's called Hold On to Your Kids. It's by Dr. Gabor Mate. He's a psychologist from Canada. And this is the book every single parent should read. Hands down, without a doubt. Every single parent needs to read this book. About creating a good relationship with your children, having attachment parenting. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book, and filled with research and his explanations on it. And it's a great book. Okay. So thanks. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you. Please like and subscribe. It always helps me and expands the channel and expands the message. And so much love to all of you. God bless. Take care of yourselves out there in this world, because it's craziness right now. And have a wonderful day. Talk to you soon. Bye.